History is a social discipline which uses narratives to describe, examine, question, and analyze past events. Ancient cultural influences have helped to create variant interpretations of the nature of history, which has evolved over the centuries and continue to change today. Our focus on today's video is based on something many people have often asked questions about. The new tourist team is bringing to you what Africans were doing in 1492. The year 1492 is a very remarkable one in the history of Africa and the Western world. The famous Italian explorer, Christopher Columbus, navigated the Atlantic Ocean in 1492, and it became a great memory in history. October 12th is a special day set aside to commemorate Columbus's discovery. Where he actually reached on that October day was an island he named San Salvador, that is now part of the Bahamas. Columbus believed that he had found the new route to India, and described the people he met as Indians. His discovery set a way for European exploration and colonization of America and subsequently Africa. It is alleged that other people like the Malian Emperor, Abubakar Keita II, had sailed through the Atlantic Ocean, a century before Christopher Columbus, though it is not widely spoken about. The fact that Emperor Abubakar made this trip before Christopher Columbus is a mystery, but this is well documented by Mansa Musa of the Mali Empire. According to al-Omari, an Arab Egyptian, who spoke to Mansa Musa about Emperor Abubakar's tour across the Atlantic and how he ascended the throne, the ruler who preceded Musa did not believe it was impossible to reach the extremes of the ocean. He wanted to reach that end and was determined to pursue his plan. So he equipped 200 boats with some men and provisions that could sustain their journey for years. He ordered the captain not to return till they had reached the other end of the ocean or until they had exhausted all the provisions. At the end of the journey, just one of the boats returned, and when questioned, the captain told the prince that they saw mermaids on the ocean that looked very fierce, and that the boat that went before them drowned and never came out again. Christopher Columbus and the Vikings were mere ocean-crossing latecomers, according to some American anthropologists. The 14th and 15th centuries was a period when empires in Africa played a very significant role. While trade along the Trans-Sahara route was common in the 1400s, it was highly dependent on the powerful African empires, such as the Mali Empire, the kingdoms of Congo and Benin, Hausa city-states, Great Zimbabwe, the Ethiopian Empire, Kaliwa Sultanate, and the Ajuran Sultanate. You may have heard about Sunni Ali, the first king of the famous Songhai Empire. He reigned from about 1464 to 1492. Under Sunni Ali's rule, many cities were captured and then fortified, such as Timbuktu in 1468 and Jen in 1475. Sunni Ali organized a fleet to the Niger River. At this time, Songhai surpassed the height of the Mali and engulfed areas under the Mali and Ghana empires. Unfortunately, Sunni Ali died on November 6, 1492, and findings show that he drowned while crossing the Niger River. He was arguably the empire's most formidable military strategist and conqueror. Under his rule, the Songhai Empire reached a size of over 1.4 million square kilometers. Sunni Ali ruled over both urban and rural non-Muslims at a time when the traditional coexistence of different beliefs was being challenged. His adherence to African animism, while also professing Islam, was a controversial issue that led some scholars and writers to describe him as a partial Muslim. Let us talk about the Benin Empire. That was one of the principal historic kingdoms of the Western African Forest region between the 13th and 19th century. The Benin Empire, also known as the Edo Kingdom or the Kingdom of Benin, was a kingdom within what is now southern Nigeria. Our findings tell us that this empire prospered from around the 12 to the 1800 when it was annexed by Britain. Before the Portuguese arrived to the Niger Delta in the 1480s, Benin was a fledgling empire that had some influence in the western Niger Delta. When they arrived, trade links between them and the Africans were heightened. The Portuguese had a great deal of fascination with Benin objects of arts and agriculture. Ivory wares, which were fashioned from elephant tusks, were trendy in well-to-do circles of Europe in that age. Benin carvings became a staple of aristocratic possessions in affluent segments of Western Europe. Commercially, Benin profited handsomely from these initial contacts with the Portuguese. The opportunity to export various agricultural goods dramatically expanded Benin's economy, which was further strengthened by a variety of European imports, such as iron bars, that enhanced its manufacturing base. Africans living in the Benin Empire around the 1400 were made to succumb to Portugal's Christian evangelism. Also, the Portuguese were not satisfied with the conversion of lower chieftains. They wanted the king Iwore the Great, at that time commonly known as Oba, to become a Christian and to be baptized as a converted Catholic with a Portuguese name. The year 1492 was a crucial moment in Central Africa. It marked the end of the Congo Empire. In 1492, Congo was just being introduced to Christianity for the first time by the Portuguese. King Nzinga sent his ambassadors to Portugal and instructed them to get priests and clerics to build a house of prayer in his land. So, the king of Congo was baptized as Joao and his son as Alfonso in 1491. He also sent Congolese nobles and children to Portugal to be converted to Christians. His baptism was well documented, and he was seated on a throne made of ivory and dressed with a crown called mupu. The main reason for the conversion of King Nzinga was articulated by Portuguese Alan Schofield. The real reason for the quick conversion of the Kingdom of Congo, according to him, was to get rid of civil wars. Several people were rebelling against the central power, and getting Portuguese backup was all what King Nzinga wanted. One must try to imagine the Portuguese at this moment. There were not many in number, as compared to their black hosts, but they, however, succeeded to coexist with the people of Congo Empire. This coexistence later brought disastrous effects, because the Portuguese sought to exploit Congolese resources and control its people. The Kanem Empire. The Kanem-Bornu Empire existed in areas, which are now part of Nigeria, Niger, Cameroon, Libya, and Chad. By the end of the 14th century, internal struggles had torn Kanem apart, and many of its former rulers had lost their lives in different battles. Within Bornu, the Saifowa dynasty's troubles persisted. During the first 3 quarters of the 15th century, for example, 15 Mais occupied the throne. The word May simply refers to kings of the Kanem Empire. The Dugawa dynasty was the first dynasty to rule the empire, and its kings were regarded as divine kings and belonged to the ruling establishment called Magumi. Ali Ghazi emerged as ruler of the Second Kanem Empire in 1472, and here is what he did. Around 1476, Ali Ghazi defeated his rivals, the Bulala nomads who had driven out his people from Kanem during the decline of the empire and began consolidating it. He built a fortified capital at Ngazargamu, to the west of Lake Chad in present-day Nigeria. This was the first permanent home a Saifowa May enjoyed in a century. Ali Ghazi was the first ruler of the Kanem-Bornu Empire to assume the title Caliph. His reign lasted from 1472 until 1507. By the end of his reign, Ali Ghazi succeeded in creating a state which dominated the whole of central Sudan in the 16th and 17th centuries. In East Africa, precisely in Ethiopia, Negus Iskender served as emperor and member of the Solomonic dynasty. During his reign, he was involved in several battles with the Adal state. Emperor Iskender died at the age of 22 and was succeeded by his son, Amdasian II, and his half-brother Nad. It was during Emperor Iskender's reign that the famed Portuguese envoy Pedro de Covilham visited the royal court and was later forced to stay as an advisor. The Kingdom of Mutapa, sometimes referred to as Mutapa or the Mutapa Empire, was an African kingdom in Zimbabwe, which expanded to present-day Mozambique. It existed from 1430 till 1760. By 1492, the empire of Mutapa was led by King Matape, who was known to have expanded the empire into one, encompassing most of the lands between Tavara and the Indian Ocean. He raised a strong army that helped him emerge victorious in many battles. Emperor Mwene Matape left the empire with a well-organized religion and a powerful priesthood. He became very wealthy by exploiting copper and ivory from the Middle Zambezi. The Portuguese